We're going to look at a new Maamar now in preparation for Shavuos. This was a Maamar said on the second day of Shavuos, Tafshin Chaf Tes, 1969. And Hashem said all these things, saying, this is the verse that introduces the Ten Commandments, the Aseret HaDibros. But before going through the Aseret HaDibros, the Torah says that Hashem said all these things, saying, I'm the Lord your God, etc., etc. And it's known that there's a question that's asked in previous Maamarim on the word lemer in this verse, to say. But very often the Torah says, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe lemer, Hashem spoke to Moshe saying. Usually what does the word saying mean, lemer? That Hashem spoke to Moshe, that he should speak to the Jewish people. He was telling Moshe to tell the Jewish people something. So Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe, Hashem spoke to Moshe, lemer, to say to the Jewish people the following thing. In this verse, you can't explain it that way. When it says at the beginning of the Ten Commandments that Vaydaber Elokim es kol hadvarim eila lemer, that Hashem said all the following things to say, you can't explain it in the normal way that it means to say to the Jewish people. Why?
He's speaking directly to them.
Because they were there. They were all there hearing.
What's the purpose of saying it?
So it can't mean that he's telling the people, telling Moshe to tell the people, because the people were all there hearing it firsthand. It can't even mean that he was telling all the people to tell future generations, their children, because all souls were present at Mount Sinai at the giving of the Torah, right down to our souls. So who's the lemer referring to? Who's he supposed to be telling? So, beginning of the end of the first line, the ma'acha shekol Yisrael hanashamish b'chol hadoros hayu b'maymin har Sinai v'shamu es hadibros makadosh baruch hu ba'atzmai. Being that the entire Jewish people, including souls of all future generations, were present at Har Sinai and heard firsthand the commandments from Hashem's mouth himself. Maho pirush tovas lemer, lemer lacherim. So what could lemer mean here? Lemer, to tell others that you should that here's the words of Hashem to say to who? Everyone's there. There's no one to say it to. No one's missing out. So what does the word lemer mean in this pasuk? So Nekudas Habir Brazeh. So the point that explains this, that in fact this verse is expressing the chidush of Matan Torah, the innovation, what happened, the revolution that happened in Matan Torah is explained by the verse. And particularly by the word lemer. This word encapsulates what happened in Matan Torah that was new, that had never been before, the revelation of Matan Torah. And so in fact this word, seemingly superfluous, is the key to understanding the entire revolution of Mount Sinai, of Matan Torah. So we'll see. First, the Rebbe says, why do we need to understand the revolution of Matan Torah? Isn't it quite obvious? Well, what's the revolution of Matan Torah? Hashem gave the Torah to the Jewish people. What's not clear about it? What do we not understand about the revolution of Matan Torah that we need to be explained? In actual fact, that normal explanation of why Matan Torah is so special, because Hashem gave the Torah to the Jewish people, is an insignificant, is an insufficient explanation. It actually does not capture what the power of Matan Torah is. As the Rebbe explains in the fourth line, because even before the Torah was given, it was already learned. People learned the Torah. Brackets, which we can understand from the fact that Medrash says, and the Gemara says, that Avram Avinu kept the entire Torah before it was given. To keep the Torah, you need to learn it. You can't keep the Torah without learning the Torah. So obviously Avram Avinu learned Torah. And certainly if Avram learned it, he taught it to his son, Yitzchak. Yitzchak limdal el Yaakov banav, and Yitzchak would have taught it to his son Yaakov and his grandchildren, the children of Yaakov. So the Torah was learned before it was given. Not just bits of the Torah, but the entire Torah, because it says that Avraham Avinu kept the entire Torah. It says even Erev Tavshilin he kept, even rabbinical laws he kept. He prophetically knew what the Torah would be, and so if he knew it, he must have learned it. So learning Torah, studying Torah, keeping Torah, all this was around before Matan Torah, before Mount Sinai. So the question becomes, so what's the big deal about Mount Sinai? Why do we make such a big deal about the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai when it was already, the information was known, it was already studied, it was already kept? So what was the necessity for this thunder and lightning show? As if the most major event in history was Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. It's just telling us stuff we knew already. It was around before. It was already around beforehand. So, our chiddush to Matan Torah. So, a massive question we have is, what's the chiddush? What's the innovation? What's new about the giving of the Torah? So, this verse that we quoted explains it and tells us why the giving of the Torah was indeed a revolution. That the revolution that happened in Hashem speaking these words at Matan Torah is that through Matan Torah it was given the power for every single Jew throughout all the generations that when we sit and learn Torah, it will be in a way of lemar, as will be explained. Meaning, this introductory verse that's before the description of the Ten Commandments, the giving Ten Commandments, it says, "Vaydaber Elokim es kol hadvarim haeleh lemar," that Elokim said all of these words saying, lemar. That word saying, lemar, which is extra, because it's not to tell anybody else, they're all there. That word is telling us that from this moment onwards, learning Torah is completely different. Indeed, they learned Torah before the Torah was given. It was preempted by Avraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov. However, after the giving of the Torah, the way we learn Torah is completely different to before. It's revolutionary, it's a totally different level. And what is that? It's all expressed in the word lemar, which we'll now see what that actually means. So we're just 6 lines from the bottom of the page. There's 2 explanations as to what the word lemar means in this verse. First, that when you learn Torah, now after the Matan Torah, you cause Hashem to say the words that you are learning. As it says in the Medrash, that anyone who sits and learns, Hashem himself sits and learns with you. Now, so therefore, the word lemar, to say in this verse, which we didn't understand, what does it mean? Lemar usually means to say to somebody else, to repeat to somebody else. What it means is, that when you sit and learn Torah, you're saying to Hashem, as it were, please repeat after me. And Hashem learns with you. What does that mean? That when we sit and learn Torah like we're doing now, or when you open up a Chumash and start reading, or a Mishnayos, or a Gemara, or a Sefer of Halacha, or Chassidus, whatever you're learning, you're sitting and learning. By you learning Torah, Hashem himself sits with you, as it were, and says word for word with you. It's Hashem saying the words. He's repeating after you. He's learning with you. It's not just that we're learning words of Torah, but the divine voice that spoke the Torah the first time is repeating and learning along with us. So that Hashem said all the words of Torah to say. Meaning, he gave us the words of Torah, So when we learn them, we're telling him to say them again, to repeat with us. That's one explanation of what Lamer means. And this wasn't around before. When Avraham Avinu learned Torah, he learned Torah. But when we learn Torah, Hashem learns with us. Hashem actually learns the words we're saying with us. He's saying it along with us. Which means the entire Torah study experience is on a completely different plane. It's a divine event. Every time we learn Torah, Hashem is there saying the words again with us. That's one explanation of Lamer. Third last line, Va'oid. Furthermore, a different explanation. That the way you learn Torah should be in a way of Lamer. Meaning, that when you are learning Torah, you're doing nothing more than repeating the words that Hashem said. Like the verse says, that my tongue will respond to your words. Meaning, that the words of Torah that I'm learning, that I say, are actually your words. It's Hashem's words. And my tongue is merely responding and answering after your call, after Hashem's call. So what did that one mean? That this is a second explanation of the word Lamer. That Hashem said the words of Torah Lamer, that we should say them. Meaning when we're reading the words of Torah, it's actually not us reading. It's Hashem's words. Hashem is saying it, and we're repeating after him. In a way, the opposite of the first one. The first explanation was that when we learn Torah, Hashem repeats after us. He says the words again. We arouse in Hashem that he should say the words of Torah again. That was the first one. The second one is that when we're learning Torah, it's not really your mouth speaking. It's Hashem speaking through you. It's Hashem's words, and you're responding. And so when you align your mind with Torah to understand something in Torah, it's Hashem speaking through you. It's Hashem's wisdom coming down into your mind. It's not you. It's not your own thing. It's the divine words in you. In a way, the opposite of the first one. So the word Lamer means that Hashem said these words Lamer. Hashem dictated to you what to say, the words of Torah, that you should repeat after him. Again, this wasn't around when Avraham Avinu learned Torah. When Avraham Avinu learned Torah, it was him. He was grasping a level of the divine reality. Whereas now, when we learn Torah, it's Hashem speaking through us. It's not us. It's Hashem speaking through us. We're just responding to the words that Hashem is telling us. That's the second interpretation. Bottom line, v'oid pirush b'vaydaber lemer, and there's actually another explanation to vaydaber and lemer, this verse, even though the Rebbe said before Shnei Pirushim, there's two explanations. There's two explanations that are close to pshat, close to explaining this, the literal meaning lemer. There's another explanation, a third one, a different one, that is this: vaydaber, on the page Olikim kol hadvarim ha'eleh, that Hashem spoke all these words, saying, meaning Aseres Hadibros Shem Klal Kol Torah, the 10 Commandments, which encapsulate the entire Torah, are like a summary of the entire Torah. Hu Lamer. The point of the 10 Commandments, the point of the Torah is Lamer, to say, meaning Shaseres Hadibros Torah Shelamayim Ha'olam Yumshuchu Basar Maamar Shebhem Nivra Ha'olam. That the 10 Commandments, which is the Torah, which is above the world, should be drawn down into the 10 sayings through which the world was created. Okay, what does this mean? This is referring to the idea that we have two tens in Torah. At least two. There's the 10 utterances, the 10 sayings of creation, and there's the 10 Commandments. That in the story of creation in Bereshis, there's 10 times that Hashem made a statement to create. Let there be this, and there was that. Hashem said this, and there was that. 10 times Hashem spoke, and the world was. They're called Asara Mamaras, the 10 utterances, or the 10 sayings of creation. Then you have the 10 Commandments, which in Hebrew are not called 10 Commandments. In Hebrew it's not called the 10 Commandments, it's called the Aseres Hadibros. Dibros means also 10 speakings. But it's a different word. Amira is the verb for saying used for creation, and dibur is the verb for speaking used for the 10 commandments. So there's the 10 mamaris from Amira, there's the 10 dibrus from dibur. They both mean saying. And the reason why the same type of word is used is because the 10 commandments, which represents the Torah, is what brings meaning and purpose to the 10 sayings, which is creation. That Hashem brought the world into being, not for its own sake, but for a higher purpose. That higher purpose is expressed through Torah. When the Torah was given, the purpose of creation was starting to be fulfilled. So, with that play on those words of Amira and Dibur, creation and Torah, we can understand the verse. Vaidaber Elikim is called Hadvarim Ha'ele Lemar. That Vaidaber, Dibur, that these 10 commandments, which represent the entire Torah, Hashem spoke them, Lemar, into the saying of creation. Lemar is from Amira. That Hashem gave the 10 commandments, Lemar, for the sake of the 10 sayings, to bring them meaning, to bring purpose to the entire creation. His 10 utterances that he used to create the world came into fruition, found their meaning when the 10 sayings of the 10 commandments were said. Lemar. Yeah?
It's the other way around.
What do you mean?
Vaidaber is, you said that the
So Hashem said the 10 commandments. Why? Lemar, to bring them into the world of Amira, to give it purpose. In order to transform the world as it is. So
what's the difference then? The Amira? In today's parsha it says by Daver Hashem Acharei Mod and Vayomer.
yeah, both words are often both words are often used. Dibur is lashon kasha. It's a stronger expression. Yomer is a softer expression. So the Rebbe says Valderech said the third line. Valderech said Hu Torah da Adam. So this applies to when we learn Torah. Shehu be'ofen de Vaidaber Lemer. That whenever we learn Torah, it's Vaidaber Lemer, meaning Shemedibra Torah Shaloi Nasa Amira. That through your words of Torah, it becomes a part of the Amira, part of the creation. Hamshachas Hashpah Lamata. That every time we learn Torah, that draws down the divine light into the physical world. That the physical world, which in itself is purposeless, is directionless, and is not divine, through learning Torah, we draw down meaning and purpose into the world. We bring a divine light into the world every time we learn Torah. Just like it happened the first time when the Seres Dibrus were revealed, that revealed purpose into the world. So too, every time we learn Torah, we bring purpose into the 10 sayings of creation. So that is a third explanation. It's not as close to pshat. It's more it hasn't explained the word lemar in its normal sense of saying to another. So therefore, it wasn't counted in the two explanations of the word lemar. But it's another approach, another way of looking at the word lemar. So the Rebbe concludes this paragraph by saying, we have to understand what's the common denominator, what's the connection between these explanations and the word lemar. They must all somehow be connected. When we say any time in Torah that there's one explanation, and here's another explanation, here's a different explanation, we have many explanations on one thing in Torah, it's not just that there's one verse, there's many ways of looking at it, and here are a few different ways of looking at it. If all of these explanations are on one verse or one word, they must all be interconnected. They must all be saying, there's a theme, there's a thread that connects these together. It can't just be three different opinions, but it must be that they're all connected. And something that particularly the Rebbe and generally in Chassidus is often explored is when you find many explanations to one verse, how are they connected? How do you connect all three? So we've got here for this verse and the word lemar, particularly the word lemar, three interpretations. The first one was that all three of them are explaining why the Torah, what was the revolution of the Torah being given. The first one was that when we learn Torah, Hashem answers us. Hashem responds and says the words with us. We cause Hashem to join us when we learn Torah. That was the first one. The second one was that when we learn Torah, it's actually we're saying Hashem's words. It's not our words, it's Hashem's words that we're saying. So Lamer is not, the first one is that Lamer is getting Hashem to say the words with us. The second one is Lamer that Hashem is getting us to say His words. That when we learn Torah, we're actually saying the divine words, not our own words. And the third one is that Lamer means that when we learn Torah, we're bringing the divine light into Lamer, into the Asar Mamaris, into the creation that was created through Amira, through speech. What's the common thread? What's the connection between these three interpretations of the one word Lamer? That we have to see when we go further. So let's go into base, the next section. There's a mimer that the Rebbe Marash said, and it started with the same beginning, Vadaber Elokim es kol hador va'ela Lamer, and it was said 100 years exactly before this mimer. So on Shavuos, in the year Tov Reish Chavtes, 1869, the Rebbe Marash said a mimer, Vadaber Elokim es kol hador va'ela Lamer. 100 years later, the Rebbe now is saying in 1969 a mimer on the same topic, the same verse. So the Rebbe now quotes the Rebbe Marash's mimer from 100 years previously, and he says in that mimer, in the Rebbe Marash's mimer, he says, brackets, after asking the exact same question, that the word lamer seems to be superfluous. Why is the word lamer there? So maybe Mashakos will be Yalkut. He quotes the Yalkut, one of the Midrashim, that says the following. The Yalkut, the Medrash says, that when Hashem would speak the words of the Ten Commandments, every individual Jew would say, He's speaking to me. Hashem is speaking directly to me, just to me. Everyone present felt that Hashem was speaking directly to them. Not to everyone and I'm there listening, but Hashem is particularly speaking to me. That was the feeling of everyone present at the giving of the Torah, including us, our souls were there, that we felt that Hashem was addressing us personally. Shenemar, and you see this from the verse, Anochi havai lekecha lashon yachid. It says, I am the Lord your God in singular. So the Ten Commandments addressed the Jew in singular, second person singular, I'm the Lord your God, not Elikechem, plural, your God, plural, but your God, singular, that Hashem was addressing each person. And the feeling every person had was that He's talking to me. I'm the Lord your God. Me, He's talking to. That's what the Medrash says. Okay, how does that answer our question? Umavar. So the Rebbe Marash explains. Dezeh mashi is the b'medrash. Ala pasuk anochi havai lekecha shakol she'shamu be'eretz hadibros hayelfi koichai shel kol echad ve'echad. And that's also what it says the Rebbe Marash in another Medrash. On the very same verse, Anochi havai lekecha, I'm the Lord your God. What does it mean, I'm the Lord your God? That the voice that they heard at the Ten Commandments was according to the strength and capabilities of each person. The young people, young men, would hear it according to their ability. The elders would hear it according to their ability, and the children heard it according to their ability. Meaning, hearing the divine voice is a prophetic experience. It's not just hearing a voice, you're experiencing Hashem. Each person experienced Hashem according to their level, according to their refinement, according to their spiritual capability. So the children who could only handle a certain amount heard it in their certain way. Those who were slightly older heard it in their way. The elders who had more spiritual capacity heard it in a different way. Each person heard the divine voice in a way that was suitable to them, according to their capacity to experience the divine. And that's what another Medrash says is what it means, I'm the Lord your God, in singular. What does it mean in singular? That each person heard it in a singular way according to their capability. So it was a different experience. For each person in Matan Torah, it was a different experience. Some people had higher, greater revelation than others, depending on their ability to handle. Now, the Rebbe just pipes in here and says, V'yesh lomer, we could say, the reason why the Rebbe Marash quotes this second Medrash, what the Rebbe Marash is trying to say is that the fact that each person felt that that was being spoken to individually was not just as far as each soul felt a personal connection with Hashem, but even each body, physical body, experienced the revelation differently. Because in that medrash it says that the young people experience it one way, the old people in another way. Young and old is a physical reality. It doesn't say the wise people experience it one way and the lesser wise. It says the young and old, meaning according to your body, your physical body, your form, you experience the revelation. So the revelation was not just in fitting with your soul, your spiritual level, but even your physical presence, your physical self, experienced the revelation differently according to your age, according to your bodily functions at the time. So this is significant. What this means is that this revelation was not just a revelation to people's souls, it was actually to their bodies. Their body experienced the revelation. It was something that penetrated all the way down into their physical body, and therefore was different for each person according to their body. And we'll see later in the Maamar why that's very important, because the revelation at Mount Sinai impacted our bodies, changed our body, our physical body, which we'll see. So Maamar, so it explains further the Maamar. Why indeed was it that the revelation was tailor-made according to each person's capabilities? That each person had a particular personal experience of the divine? Why was it done in such a way? It was in singular for each individual. Brackets. The truth is, all of the Torah applies to every Jewish person. And the entire Torah, it says, I'm the Lord your God. It says that throughout the entire Torah. But specifically, it was at the 10 Commandments that each person felt a personal revelation. We don't find that with the rest of the Torah. The rest of the Torah was spoken to Moshe, told to people collectively. It wasn't personally addressed to each person, whereas the 10 Commandments was addressed to each person personally. They felt, I'm being spoken to myself. Why indeed? What was the necessity for that? After the brackets, Al Pi Mabde Issa B'Yalkut Sham. So it further explains that in the Yalkut, in the Medrash we quoted earlier, the B'Shas Matan Torah Shitef HaKadosh Baruch Es Shmoi B'Kol Echad Echem Yisrael. The Medrash says a very powerful thing, that at the time of the giving of the Torah, Hashem joined His name onto each and every individual. He put His name to us. He gave us His name. Meaning what? There's a verse that says, it says that Hashem came down with His myriads of angels, and Hashem's name is in them at Sinai in holiness. What does that mean, this verse, that Hashem came down with His angels? God is in them at Sinai in His holiness. What does all that mean? Just like every angel has the name of Hashem in their name. At the end of every angel's name is God's name. Kael. The name Aleph Lamed Kael is at the end of every angel's name. Michael, Gavriel, Raphael. Every angel has God's name in it. Came to Matan Torah, the same thing happened to Matan Torah, Sinai B'Kodesh, that at Sinai His holiness was revealed. Hashem put His name onto every Jewish person's name. And so Yisrael is our collective name, but more specifically, every individual, Hashem gave His name to us. And even though your name might not actually have Hashem's name in it, but conceptually, Hashem put His name on each one of us. What does this mean? Every angel has Hashem's name in it. What does that mean? It means that every angel has a direct connection with Hashem. That Michael has Kael at the end of his name because Michael is aware and connected to Hashem. Is to the point where Hashem has His name imprinted on Michael's name. And Gavriel and Raphael and all the angels, they have Hashem's name in them because they're directly connected to Hashem. At Matan Torah, Hashem did that with every Jewish soul. and says, I'm putting my name onto you. I'm sticking my name onto you as well. Just like the angels have my name, so too you do. And that's a unique gift that he gave to the Jewish people. His name is connected to us, which means that our souls became intertwined with the divine at Matan Torah.
Is it all the angels have got Hashem's name? So why we only refer to 3 angels?
They're the major angels, they're the chief angels, but there's thousands and 10,000 myriads of angels that are below them.
But also Hashem puts in our name, also his name. The Pashat Pinchas, all the names of the tribes and the census, puts a letter Yud and a He in each of our names.
That's right.
He put his name.
Right. But he was saying more. He was saying every individual Jew has Hashem's name added to them. So the Rebbe Marash, who, remember, this is all quoting the Rebbe Marash in his Maamar of 100 years earlier, he explains what this means. So Mamshich B'Maamar, 4 lines up. Mamshich B'Maamar. So the Rebbe Marash explains that Al Yidei Sheshmoi Shakadosh Baruch Hu Meshutav B'Malachim Hem B'Teilim L'Gabi Shmoi Yisparach Shemeshutav B'Hem. Through the fact that Hashem's name is added onto the end of every angel's name, what that means is that they are in a state of complete bittul, complete surrender to the name that is connected to them. Meaning every angel does not feel a separate, autonomous identity. They feel themselves as a part of the divine reality. They're nullified to Hashem. Every angel is aware, their self-awareness is a divine awareness. My sense of self is that I am a part of the divine. My very name has Hashem's name in it. My name, which is me, the name is my identity. What is my identity? Hashem. That I have a function, I have a mission, a role, but it is all divinely directed and inspired. That's what an angel, that's an angel's awareness. So Kamekin will be Yisrael. So therefore the same thing happened to the Jewish people at Matan Torah. Through the fact that Hashem joined his name onto the Jewish people, every individual, so it means that the Jewish people are also have a natural state of nullification to Hashem. As the Rebbe Rash in his Maamar explains at length what that means. But for our purposes, what does it mean? That the Jewish soul has a natural tendency towards nullifying to Hashem, towards realizing that we're connected to something higher, something above. And so from the time of Matan Torah, the collective mission of the Jewish people and the individual mission of each and every Jew is to be the representative of Hashem in the world. The way a Jew acts reflects on Hashem. People's opinions of God will be directed by their opinion of the Jewish people. And everything we do is connected to Hashem. Everything about the Jewish people has a divine meaning behind it. There's nothing that we can do that can be devoid of any spiritual meaning. Because the Jewish people, by definition, have Hashem's name within us. So as long as we're doing Hashem's will, we're being ourselves. When we're not, we're disconnected from something within ourselves.
I don't have a problem that it's only conceptual for the individuals, but why was it so, it's so literal, the name in the angels, Hashem's name, and ours is only conceptual. Why is there but it's got the same meaning, why is it so different?
Because we'll see in the Maamar that on the one hand, angels are much more aware of this than we are. The fact is that an angel lives their life completely nullified to the divine will. They cannot do anything but the divine will. Whereas we, even if we're Jewish and we have this name of Hashem connected to us, we are able to rebel against Hashem and do the wrong thing, not live up to it. So therefore, it's not revealed unless we reveal it, this connection. For an angel, it's just their reality. That's how they are. They are nullified to Hashem. Whereas we might not be. But it's there, and it's something that we can tap into. And as we'll see, ours is even greater than the angels. Our connection with Hashem is deeper and greater than the angels is. We could ignore it or stuff it up, which they can't really, because they're in a free choice. We do. But the connection we have is a deeper one than they do. So this will be explained a bit further in Gimel. So let's go into Gimel a little bit. The top of the next page. Binei Shmoy shel Kadosh Baruch Hu Shishit of Yisrael Hu L'mayla Yosem Shmoy Shem Shutei B'Malachim. When we say that the name of Hashem is connected to the Jewish soul, just like it is to the angels, however, the name of Hashem that's connected to the Jewish soul is higher than the name that is connected to angels. Why? B'Malachim Ksiv Adnei Bam. The verse that we just quoted said that about angels that Adnei, Aleph Daled Nun Yud is in them. Kumvur b'Tanya, as is explained in Tanya, Shemalachim Nikram B'Shem Elikim, that angels are described as Elikim. The name that we use for Hashem Elikim also means powers, and angels are sometimes called powers. Like it says that Hashem is Elikei Elikim, God of the powers of the angels. That Hashem is above all the angels. So the name Elikim can sometimes refer to angels. The Elikim v'Adnei hem b'cholos inyan echad, and the name Elikim and the name Adnei, generally speaking, are referring to the same thing. Al Yisrael ksiv ki chelik havaya amoy, chelik m'shem havaya. However, about the Jewish people, it says that we are a part of Havaya Yud Kei Vav Kei. So let's explain. The most common names of Hashem that we use in our davening there are three: Yud Kei Vav Kei, Adnei, Aleph Daled Nun Yud, and Elikim. Yud Kei Vav Kei, we don't pronounce it. Only in the temple they pronounced it in times of old, and in the future we will again. But we don't pronounce that name. We pronounce it like Aleph Daled Nun Yud. But the name is still written that way in the Torah and in our davening. Now these names, Adnei and Elikim, are more or less the same thing. They represent the same level of God. They both represent the level of Hashem as He interacts with the world, as He's limited Himself to interact with the world. Whereas Yud Kei Vav Kei is referring to Hashem as He is beyond the world. As we've discussed many times, the levels of Mamala and Soviv, Hashem, His light that fills the world, or His light that surrounds and is beyond the world. These names refer to that. Elikim is the name of Tzimtzum, of limitation. The name Elikim has the same gematria as Hateva, nature. Like we learned in a previous Maamar, Hateva is Hashem as He's hiding within the universe. Elikim is in plural. It's a plural word because it refers to the various powers that are manifest in the world through Hashem's creative power. And so Elikim refers to that level of Hashem as He's limited Himself to interact with the world. It's only a ray of Him, not His very self. The name Aleph Daled Nun Yud is also that. What does it mean? The word Adnei means master. Master of what? Master of the world. So you're describing Hashem in His relationship with the world. He's the master of the world. So that's Hashem as He has limited Himself to interact with the world. It's also in plural. Adnei is a plural word. Literally means masters, my masters, literally. Because again, it's referring to the various forces that Hashem has implanted into the world. And it's also a name that could be used to describe other things. The name Adnei could be used to describe people who are masters. Several times in the Torah, there's the word Adonai, meaning my masters. Not meaning God. The same word could be used for other things. So that shows that both these names, Elikim and Adnei, are referring to Hashem as He has lowered Himself to interact with the world. Whereas Yud Kei Vav Kei, what does Yud Kei Vav Kei mean? It means the one who brings being into being. Meaning the divine as He is above creation, the cause of creation, but not in it, not defined by it, not limited by it. It's the one who was, is, and will be all at once, above time, above space. That's what Yud Kei Vav Kei means. So that's referring to Hashem as He is beyond the world, not limited to the world. So when we describe the divine light that is connected to angels, it says Adnei Bam, that they have the power of Aleph Daled Nun Yud, or Elikim, because they're called Elikim. Whereas for the Jewish people, the divine name that's connected to us is Yud Kei Vav Kei. As it says, Chelek Havaya Amoy, that his nation are part of Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's what we are a part of. Which means that the divine name that's invested in us is higher. We are connected to the level of Hashem that is beyond creation. Angels are only connected to the level of Hashem that is within creation. And as we'll see, this is something that doesn't only impact our soul, but actually impacts our body. So the point where in this Maamar the Rebbe will explain how the physical body actually has Yud Kei Vav Kei in it. We see it in our physical body, in the form of the physical human body, there's Yud Kei Vav Kei in our body. Have you ever noticed that? We'll see in the Maamar. Okay, we'll stop there now.
Just a question, where does it say our name is referenced or related to that name of Hashem?
It's a verse in the book of Deuteronomy, Devarim, that says, it's on the end of the third line there, at the end, Ki Chelek Havaya Amoy, because his people are a part of Havaya. We are a part of Havaya. That's the Torah source for that.
What about the name Yud and Yud?
So Yud and Yud is not really a name. Yud and Yud is an abbreviation. Sometimes written in Sidurim. It's not written in the Torah anywhere like that, but it's written in the Sidurim. What that is it refers to the fact that it should be spelled Yud Kei Vav Kei, but pronounced Aleph Daled Nun Yud. So it's got the first Yud of Yud Kei Vav Kei and the last Yud of Aleph Daled Nun Yud. So Yud Yud. That's so it's writing what it's written as and what it's pronounced as. It's pronounced with a Yud. It ends in it's written with a Yud. It's pronounced with a Yud at the end. So yeah.
And Kel?
So Kel is in some places it says it's a shortened form of Elohim. So it's connected to Elohim. But it's definitely a name of Hashem as expressed in a certain midah. Kel is usually connected with Chesed, Elohim with Gevurah. So yeah.
So this is a real flip, and we always think that angels are